5.5, 6. You're right.
Yeah, it's got a very different. Reagan, shh.
You having a dream? Bad dreams?
Hey guys, this is Bigfoot Bourbon Company Reviews, and I am Charles, and
I'm John.
And we're here today to kind of explore the Willett Family Estate 4-year rye offering. This is something that for a long time was something very difficult to obtain where we live, and we made a trip up to Kentucky one time, and we were able to every liquor store on the shelf ready to go. It was a wild experience.
Yep.
So we bought a few. This is one of the first ones we've gotten.
Can we just time out? Because that's something that trips me out. That we can go to another state, just like one state away, and they will have stuff that we cannot get, and they will be enamored of stuff that we have on the shelf. Like
it's wild.
Reserved.
Like, we are very lucky here in Georgia to have quite a bit of Eagle Rare available. And I mean, I don't know that I've gone into a liquor store in the past year and a half, 2 years, where they haven't had Eagle Rare, and that's at $40 a bottle, not 60 and 70. If you're looking for a store pick, 55 to 60, of course, that's one of the best deals, I think. A 10-year single barrel is fantastic. The availability is so state dependent. Yeah. You know, you always hear about Ohio having a bunch of Weller Antique 107. You know, we don't really get that very frequently down here, so it's really neat to go to other states and kind of explore their options. And Kentucky had a ton of Willett, and they didn't have any of the purple tops, right? They didn't have the traditional thing that I love the purple top. We went to the Willett Distillery. We've been actually a couple of times to the bar at Willett. God. Can't recommend it enough.
Go to the restaurant, go to the bar at Willett.
Now, it's not cheap by any stretch of the imagination, but if you want to treat yourself, they've got some excellent options. I mean, pretty much anything that they've put out.
And some Dusties in
the
menu.
They've got some Dusties as well. And if you're just looking for a unique experience, it's a really cool opportunity. Now, we plan on taking a trip through the distillery, doing a tour next time we go. I think we're going to try and go in the summer and see kind of how they do things up there, because every bit of Willett I've had has a very distinct note to it that's going to make it obvious that this is something coming from their distillery. I like it.
I love it. I love it.
I mean, in everything I've ever had from them has had that distinct Willett flavor profile. Okay, so let's talk about this. This was a $60 bottle. I think it was like $59. It's a 109.8 proof. They had a 2-year. That was their initial offering, and that was their own distillate. This is Willett's produced whiskey. A lot of their purple tops, the bourbons, were sourced bourbon from the glut. So you would go to these distilleries that had just barrels aging for years and years and years, and Willett went in and got them at a discount when there, I would assume, when there was just a lot of excess whiskey on the market, and then that's what they used, I believe. I may be completely wrong, but from what I've read and heard, is that's kind of how they established that Willett Family Estate label. And the rye is kind of easier to get. You can buy this in the gift shop. At least last night, a couple times we've been there, they've had it in the gift shop, and it's becoming a lot more common, which is great, because this,
really good,
phenomenal rye. This is going to, again, be about $55 to $60, depending on where you're going to get it. If you go to Kentucky and you go to a grocery store, you're going to get it at the retail price. I really enjoy the purple top bourbons as well, and from what I've been reading about, is a lot of the new purple tops, the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 year bourbons that they're putting out, are their own distillate as well, which is kind of why you get that very unique flavor profile. I really like that. It's like a cinnamon. It's very, very like cinnamon forward. Like Red Hot is so delicious. Okay, anyways, this is a very old distillery. The family came over, and they've been in the distillation game since 1841. Is when they first started distilling. Now, this is going to be a blend of barrels, so it's a small batch. It's not a single barrel. And it's also going to have 2 different mash bills in it. It's got a high rye and a low rye mash bill. So the high rye mash bill has a 74% rye, 11% corn, and 15% malted barley. Whereas the low rye is 51% rye, 34% corn, and 15% malted barley. So we're sticking to that 15% malted barley. I don't really know what percent each one is, and each little variation in the proof, as is bottled at cast strength, is different. Okay, so this one is going to have a very different flavor profile than another one that I have that's already open. That one has,
we
I
have
think,
like 4 of these, right?
Yeah, and each one is very unique, and they're small batch. So I like that. You know, you never know what you're going to get, but I have found...
It's always good, though. Always has that note, too.
I have found that I actually prefer the higher proof ones, and that's something I've seen. For whatever reason, it doesn't have as much of a dill note to it. At least the ones that I've had that were above 110 tended to be a little bit different than the ones that were below. That is probably just random chance. I don't think that there's any reasoning for that. It just happens to be the ones that we've procured. Oh, and by the way, they started releasing rye, their own distillate rye, in 2014. So that was the 2-year, and then a couple years later they put out the 4-year, and that's what they've kind of stuck to. Now they do have single barrel bottles or single barrels that are going to be a higher age statement. Like it says, this was 4, so we saw an 8 or 9 or 10-year.
Yeah.
Around, it was just very similar to the Purple Tops, which are also single barrel.
What was the that rye bottle at Johnny's? Was that just a regular?
Yeah, that was just the regular. Okay. Now, we went to this, we did see one. The only time I've ever seen a single barrel rye was at a random tiny little liquor store. We were actually looking for Purple Tops. That was my very first Purple Top that I was able to procure. And they had, I believe it was a 7-year rye that they had, and I think it was like $250. And I still kick myself for not getting that. That was, I mean, I'm sure it was a little higher than it should have been, but
we can't buy them all.
You can't get those very easily in Georgia, and that's the thing. So let's try it. Let's see what we got. Not much left, by the way. Bottle killed, my friends.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. And there we go.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
If that doesn't...
Ooh, that is quintessential Willett Rye.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I like it.
I mean, it is definitely a lighter color.
Oh yeah.
That's to be expected with only 4 years in the barrel. You're not going to have a lot. Now, if you go to the distillery, it's really cool. It's kind of like up on a ridge, and I believe it gets a lot of variation in temperatures, because if you think about it, different elevations are going to have different temperature characteristics, so they're going to have different microclimates, essentially. And I think that probably plays a role in having that 4-year come out so nice.
I love it.
You know, they also, ryes tend to age a little bit quicker than bourbons, so they take on the characteristics of the barrel, at least from what I've seen. You know, a younger rye
I wonder what
a little bit more.
cooperage.
Oh, that's a very good question.
There you go.
We'd check it out when we go up
We
there.
might investigate when we, because I mean that just.
What do you get? I mean, it's definitely rye, but it's not
rye.
like a super forward, like rye forward nose. Like
No.
it's a lot
No,
mellow.
it's not all spice. It's got some mellow note to it.
I get a little herbal note.
Oh yeah.
I'm expecting dill.
I mean, you can.
A little dill. It's
if you
very
look
subtle,
for dill, you find the dill.
Yeah.
But it's not overpowering.
No, not at all. I get a little cherry, tiny little bit of cherry in there. I mean, maybe a little bit of, maybe it's
sharper.
not cherry.
Yeah, there's something.
Maybe it's like a citrus note.
Yeah.
But it's not super overpowering. It's very, very mild.
It all balances. That's the thing is all those notes are there and they all kind of balance.
And if you can, I don't know if you can see, but they've got some legs. It's quite nice to look at the viscosity. I'm expecting it to coat my tongue quite nicely. All right, you ready?
Okay.
Let's
Wait. Are we rating the
the
nose,
you want to do it now?
or are we doing all?
Let's do it all then.
All right.
All right.
So I already know where I'm at with the nose.
Cheers, my man.
Cheers.
I get the dill.
It's so distinctive.
It's there.
Oh yeah.
The dill's there. I don't know if I've heard it described or read it described as a funk.
I don't think
it's a funk. I think it's a
doesn't.
distinct flavor that's there, and it's earthier.
I
think is the way I would look at it.
More herbal.
Yeah.
More floral note.
And you still get that in the bourbon as well when you start
some
tasting
spice,
there.
some like cedar chip, like
Yeah.
note.
I get
like,
cedar, absolutely.
That's so.
A little bit, and that's got such a long finish.
Oh,
like
yeah.
All Might, it's still going, man.
yeah.
It's delicious.
And it's not that, oh, it's this aftertaste that I can't stand. It's a real nice kind of light note.
It just kind of grows on your tongue as it just sits there. Like it's blooming, essentially.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so nice.
Perfect description. I really like that. There's no way to not say or to say any other way.
It's very herbal, but you know what? There is definitely a sweet kind of note towards the back end of it. That's almost that traditional caramel that you're going to look for.
Almost a bourbony note.
Yeah, and that. So I think this is almost like a good kind of intro into ryes. If somebody really likes bourbon and they want to expand out,
and you want to
this is a really good. But it's not cheap. That's the other thing. You know, you're going to be paying $50-$60 for this. To explore a variety, that's the one thing.
I think you know where I'm going with value on this.
Absolutely, one. That's the one thing I don't like about ryes all the time is that I'm not a big fan of dill. Dill is a note that I do.
And in some ryes, I don't.
Right,
the dill is way over the top.
Right, some there. It's just like you're drinking pickle juice almost, and all this one is it's very subtle. It's there, but it's not taking over, and I really do absolutely enjoy this. All right, so you want to rate it?
All right,
we didn't really give a bunch of depth for our tasting notes. I mean, I think the back end you got a little bit of cinnamon. That might be tiny bit of cinnamon. The cedar I think was a very
I get that cinnamon cedar back note.
Yeah, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of a little bit of a licorice.
It wouldn't be a rye if you didn't get some pepper.
A little bit of licorice is in there too.
That's just delicious.
It's got a lot of depth. For a 4-year whiskey, that is pretty impressive.
That's very impressive. All right, nose.
I think the nose is probably okay.
So yeah, if you're gonna give it, if you're gonna fault it somewhere,
it's the nose. It's not super prevalent. It's very light. Mm-hmm. You got to get in there to get a good. You got to get into the Glencairn to do that. All right. So I would say for the nose, I mean, based on what I enjoy, this has a nice nose of what it is. So
for a rye,
I would say probably a 5.5 to a 6 for me.
Okay, I'm there with you.
Okay.
I'm 5. I mean, I can't put it anywhere. I mean, for a rye, yeah, you're right. 5.5, 6. You're right.
Yeah, it's got a very different. Riggins, shh.
You having a dream? Bad dreams?
It's got for a rye, you're right. That's a very good way to describe it. For a rye, because again, we definitely have a
bourbon bent.
Yes, absolutely. We prefer the bourbon, but we've come to appreciate and enjoy rye as well.
A bunch of ryes, yeah.
So I don't know. For a rye, it's pretty interesting. Yeah. Okay, so let's do the taste, the palate.
Taste, palate. Yep. Taste notes. Again, as long as we're not comparing it to a bourbon.
Yeah, it's delicious. It is. I mean, this is a perfect introductory rye. So
this is across it.
For that, I would say it's probably a 6.5 to a 7. I mean, maybe I've got a different batch that I prefer to this particular one.
Yeah.
So this one is 109.8. The one I have that I really love is the 112. And it's got some very unique characteristics. It's got like this, it's almost like you're drinking sweet tea. It's amazing.
And it's smoother than this one.
Yeah, at a higher proof rate.
I don't know how that works.
You don't get that alcohol note as much.
Oh, no.
This, you can definitely tell this is a cask strength whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
But that other one is a little bit different. So for this, I'd say about a 6.5, and maybe the other one would go up to a 7. Depending on
the other one might be an 8.
Maybe
for rye.
Maybe for a 4-year rye, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna put that guy at 7.
7. Okay.
Definitely. It's just one of the. I mean, I'll never get mad when you pull this out and go, okay, rye. We're gonna do this.
When I'm sitting here in the afternoon watching a little football,
there's a reason this is empty.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost gone. Okay, so let's see here. Finish. It's got a very long. I mean, it's still sitting there permeating my mouth.
A finish for a rye is amazing.
Yeah, I really appreciate and enjoy it. So I would say we're back up at 6.5 to a 7.
I'm going to go 7.5.
Okay.
Just for the long finish
Yeah.
and the smoothness of it, and
Yeah.
that some of those notes on the end of it. I'm going to go 7.5.
I understand. I understand completely. Okay, the last thing, value. What is the value that we would assign to this bottle for 55, 60 bucks, maybe 70, depending on where you're seeing it? I mean, I would.
What would be a competitor for this? A batch.
Oh,
A batch
man.
proof rye.
I mean, there's not a lot.
There aren't, and that's what I was trying to go through. Like, doesn't.
I mean, you've got Angel's Envy,
Old
but that's
Fitz.
finished.
Don't
Old
they
Fitz,
have a
no.
rye that they?
Old Forester has a rye,
Old
but
Forester.
that's bottled at a much lower proof. Maybe not much lower, it's a little bit lower. And that's a good rye. I enjoy Old Forester rye. I've got the Old Forester single barrel. Haven't popped that one yet, and that may be in contention with this. Now, we could also look at, okay, well, let's see other cast strength rye, such as Thomas Handy. That you've got a bottle of Thomas Handy, and it's a different league than this, right?
Yeah, it is.
So I don't know,
Okay,
you know.
so yeah.
I mean, there's not a lot that really, in
But
my
for
mind,
60
compares.
bucks?
For $60,
It's
kind
a
of
7.
that.
It's a 7 for me.
I would agree with that because it is going to provide you the opportunity to introduce another bourbon drinker to a rye lifestyle. Because guys, rye is really starting to become, rye whiskey is becoming. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but our liquor stores,
Blowing up.
the rye shelves have become twice as large as they used to be. There's so many more.
And I get it.
offerings.
It's complex. There
Right.
are, you know.
It's not as sweet as what a bourbon is, but you know, I really appreciate what Willett's doing with this, and I think that you'll probably enjoy it as well. And if you don't, then maybe you don't like ryes. Maybe you just need something that's a little bit more dill forward. I don't know, but
Hey, help us out. Batch proof rye. Somewhere around this. What's a competitor?
What's something good?
You know something we don't? Let me know
And
in the
let's go get
comments, and we'll get it, and we'll see
test
what
it
we
out.
got.
See if we can compare it. We can do a head-to-head. I've got a couple more about the same proof.
You want to punch up? We'll
Yeah.
pull out the other Willett and
Yeah, absolutely.
really go to town.
Or maybe you can bring that handy. We can
Yeah,
compare
ooh,
it.
we can really
There we
punch
go.
up.
So let us know what you think. See what we need to really explore next, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Bye, guys.